So let me start with you, Vishal. Can you tell me a little bit about CP Rail and what they do?
Sure, happy to. Canadian Pacific Rail, I think some folks may or may not know, it was founded in 1881, but it's one of those companies that is so close to me because it's sort of one of those companies that moves essential goods to people, and it transports, groceries, pharmaceuticals, essential goods, all of those through their 12,000 plus miles of track that they have in North America.
Oh, wow.
And it's one of those companies that you might think that, people never really think about the freight, as everybody's talking about the product and the good itself. But if you don't have good transportation networks, you cannot get those goods to the people. And we learned the importance of that, obviously, in 2020.
Yeah,
Much,
that's a
much
good
more.
point. Interesting. Yeah, I had not thought about that.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
really exciting. And we work with them through a deployment that we had of the SAP HANA and modernization of tech.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And then I know, Vishal, you're actually part of Intel's SAP team. My understanding is that CP Rail actually deployed SAP HANA. Can you tell us what they were doing there and what the experience was?
Yeah, happy to. So yes, I am part of Intel's Team SAP. So we work with all our customers that want to deploy SAP solutions. And CP Rail wanted to look at the transportation modernization problem. They really wanted to focus on having some kind of a solution that would help them to optimize their business processes and make sure that they are able to get a better control of their data. Um, when it comes to sort of streamlining operations, looking at modernizing services, and looking at technology as a way to sort of upgrade as they were looking to upgrade their SAP software. And so that's how we got in touch with them.
Oh, okay, great. And the other thing that I think it's important to highlight is I keep harping on how important software is and how those relationships with the ISVs. But my understanding is our relationship with SAP HANA goes back many years, and we've been working on this optimization for persistent memory for some time. Is that true?
Yes, absolutely. We work with SAP for more than 25 years. Actually, our
Oh,
partnership started with SAP back in 1997. So, Intel has been one of those engagements with SAP is so deep rooted. We actually have Intel engineers that sit in SAP offices in Waldorf, and they're constantly working on optimizing code together. SAP HANA was optimized on Intel architecture way back, and we partnered with them on building and bringing the Optane Persistent Memory solution together. So actually, Hasso Plattner, talks about the Optane solution as he talks about HANA. And that particular relationship has grown tremendously over the past decade. And I mean, I think most people may know that HANA is now 10 years old. So we just had the 10th birthday of HANA.
yeah.
And it's really exciting to say that the technology is sort of maturing so quickly. And a lot of our customers are able to take advantage of the work that we are doing, both on the Xeon side as well as on the Optane side.
Yeah. All right. So one of the things that I've through this journey, you had certain expectations going into the market of where you think things will be adopted and where you think that things will not be adopted. And one of my misconceptions was that the transportation industry would probably be one of the later ones to adopt something like this. There's that risk factor of it being a new technology. I didn't have the impression that in this segment there would be a large market opportunity for something like persistent memory. But in reality, they ended up being one of our fastest movers. They were one of our first customers or proof of concepts. How did they learn about Optane, and what attracted them to Optane?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Actually, um, we weren't certain that this would be one of our early adopters, if you will, either. But I think we partner with SAP on various initiatives across the company, and we have a program that we partner with them on the SAP's Max Attention. And that's where SAP's teams work with their end customers as they're looking at optimizing business processes. In addition, we partner with SAP on sharing some of our innovations together. And, for folks who may be aware, we had our data-centric launch for Cascade Lake back in 2019. And we introduced Optane Persistent Memory at the time. We also have been talking about the solution in SAP's conferences, and Canadian Pacific Rail actually heard about the solution through some of those initiatives and engagements, as they, as a customer of SAP, were coming in front of SAP's sort of industry events and stuff, and so they had heard about it, and they wanted to know more. So this was a example of, I think, you talked a little bit earlier today, like, hey, are there some companies just want to go in and go for it all in? And this was one of those examples where, with the deep partnership that we have with SAP and also with Cisco here, that they were able to go into deployment for the technology without even a really robust sort of POC line, right? So it was sort of a fast mover.
Wow. Yeah.
Without really going through a full-blown POC process that we normally see in these kind of large mission-critical installations. So I think, they really got exposed to the solution through our joint activities with SAP.
Yeah, that's what we need to see more of out there. So that's great to hear. Thank you for sharing that perspective. And Krishna, I want to pull you in now. Tell us about what their experience has been about so far, as well as kind of the technical benefits. How do they deploy it? What was the design of the solution? Bring us up to speed.
Sure. So memory density is the bigger thing that CP Rail has seen. What they deployed is they've deployed a 15 terabyte SAP HANA system with 3 terabytes of DRAM and 12 terabytes of PMEM, right? So without PMEM, they had to go to a scale-out system, and now they were able to go back and build a scale-up system. So that's one of the biggest benefits that they saw. Now, I'll tell you a story about these deployments. So when companies like CP Rail, when they deploy these databases, they keep them for 5 years, right? Uh-huh. So most HANA customers, they build a HANA software and the hardware, and they put it for the next 5 years, and then they move to the next generation. So 5 years ago, I was not in the Intel Optane group, and I was in Intel IT. And back then, the memory density was, back then in 2015, we were able to get 3 terabytes of data that can be put in 4-socket. And now 5 years later, with persistent memory, we're able to get 15. So that's the big story here.
Yeah, that's crazy. And we were lucky to be able to take you from Intel IT. So
I think the one thing, Kristie, I'd add is, because of the consolidation, right, that they saw with that, they were able to really sort of see, business continuity at a lower cost envelope with persistent memory. And, that was something really a key driver as well for Canadian Pacific Rail as they were considering the consolidation project.
And is it fair to say, I mean, similar to what we saw with Aerospike and PayPal too, the faster restarts are, we often talk about that, and sometimes I get skepticism from people, oh, that doesn't really matter. But how much of an element did that play? Because I do believe that they start to see those benefits.
Correct, they do. So there are 2 types of restarts, Kristie. There's something called a planned restart, and then there's something called the unplanned restart, right? So Optane PMEM helps with both of them. It makes the planned restarts a little bit smaller, and then it makes the unplanned restarts, which IT shops still do have, right? No matter what the software you put in, even much faster.
Yeah. Okay.
I was working with a customer just about 3 weeks ago. one of the biggest problems they had is unplanned restarts. And with their unplanned restarts, they are seeing a 2.5 hour downtime. And with PMEM, it's 28 minutes.
Wow, that's a big improvement.
Yeah, on Canadian Pacific Rail, they went from like 150 minutes plus to like less than 20 minutes.
Wow.
With improving system downtime.
That's incredible.